Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Consistent AK podcast. My name's Luke, and I'm joined, as ever, with Nick, writer extraordinaire good. We're here with another podcast doing our in-depth episodes on the Askew universe films by Kevin Smith. And this episode is Jay and Silent Bob the Reboot. So, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, then, carry on listening. Here's some lovely music to set you all up for this. So, penultimate episode of our in-depths on the Kevin Smith films. So we've come to nearly the end of the road, and it's Jay and Silent Bob the Reboot. Now, before we get into this, I thought I had seen this film. Do you know what though? I hadn't seen this film.
Excellent.
And I have some thoughts, which is great because the podcast is about it. If I didn't have any thoughts, then what the fuck are we doing here?
It's the point of the podcast.
If you've not seen this film, then we're going to talk about it somewhat in depth, and there will be spoilers, but I don't know if spoilers is even a concern for this kind of a film because it is just craziness.
Yeah.
Nick, you've seen this before, and then you've watched it again, so we can talk about this on the podcast.
Yes.
What did you? Where did you go first? You tell me what you think.
I think the first time I saw it, I didn't think it was as good as Strike Back. And there were bits that I really enjoyed, and there were things where I was like, yeah, it's fine. It didn't blow me away. There are a couple of scenes in particular which I'll talk about, which I always think are great. They're really well written and directed, and performances are great. But the second time watching it, I actually enjoyed it a hell of a lot more. And I don't know if it was because I almost knew what I was getting myself into. In that, I wonder if the first time I saw it, I was watching it thinking it would be essentially Strike Back, just rebooted. And while it is, there are things that do make it very, very, very different. And I think going into it the second time, knowing what it was, I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more. Yeah. How about you?
I don't think I laughed once during the film.
Okay.
But I laughed a lot during Strike Back, even on the second. Well, I mean, I've seen it multiple times, but when I watched it when we did the podcast, right, I thought it was very fun. It's not Clerks 2 funny, but it's still very fun. And there's a load of stand-up performances in Strike Back, like Will Ferrell is very funny in it. And but this, no, I didn't, and I was surprised that I didn't laugh because I like Kevin Smith. I like the comedy stuff. I like Mallrats, and I like Clerks, and I like Clerks 2, and like Strike Back, like I said. But this just didn't do it for me. And I know it's a reboot. I know the whole point in it. They hashed out similar scenes. Instead of Ben Affleck going through this is the fucking internet. It's it's Brody, it's Jason Lee saying so this is what a reboot is instead of a remake. It just felt so. I know that's the reason because there are diehard fans out there, right? It's obviously forced. It's tuning into a set group of fans, right? Not everyone's gonna like it because they probably wouldn't even go and see it. But it was, I think, for being a fan of his previous stuff, I kind of expected more.
Okay.
From it. There are still very some scenes that are very well written, which I like. Which there's always that stuff in Kevin Smith. So for the last multiple podcasts that we've done now on these films, but I don't think anything stood out though. I can't honestly tell you anything that after I watched it. I actually think I enjoyed the credits more.
Yep. It is a good credit.
The Stan Lee obviously bit stands out, and there's bits with his daughter and things like that that are that nice. I mean, that was probably the biggest takeaway from it was his daughter and him like playing off each other and everything. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a bit too. Maybe I need to watch it again further down the line. I don't know if it's hampered by the fact that I watched it on my own and I didn't watch it with a few people, which I've seen most of his films at the cinema with a group of people, and you kind of again you like riff off each other. Where when you find something funny, it's kind of like a natural thing that you also kind of laugh at these things. And I wonder if that makes sense. You know, like when everyone's like having a good time and laughing, like you kind of like your guard goes down a little bit and you kind of accept some of the even stupider things. But I don't like I can't imagine watching Anchorman on my own the first time. Right.
Yeah.
And enjoying it as much as I did when I saw it with like 7 of my closest friends.
Yep.
So I don't know. Yeah, it didn't land for me. I guess that's the nice thing. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. I'm not even really sure if I liked it. I just was okay. It was just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, because I said I expected more. Like I don't know. There were just some bits that it's really weird to say because of the way Strike Back is, right? And even, you know, you got a sense of it in Dogma and Mallrats as well. But with this, so it was just so, like, I don't know where it came from. We've spoken a lot about these sort of things happening where I imagine Kevin Smith had a conversation with some of his friends that's like, oh, that's really funny. Or, yeah, this is this story and I'm going to put this film. But, you know, I just don't know where some of it came from. You know, like the, you know, Chris Jericho and the Ku Klux Klan stuff and everything. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just a bit of a weird one for me, really. But
yeah, I mean
that's not all my thoughts on it. I've got more to say, but my initial thoughts on it, that's what they are. So
yeah, I think to be fair, that's probably similar to how I was after the first watch. Is that I think I remember watching the first time, and I was like, yeah, it was just fine, but I don't remember finding anything in it where I was like, that's really funny or really well written in terms of humor. I think the thing that I walked away with the first time was just the chasing Amy scene. I thought was amazing.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
like I think that is a perfect piece of writing that gives you basically closure to what that story is. Like it's like if you ever needed to know what happens with chasing Amy, like that's your ending. And I remember walking away and just thinking that was the special bit. Like that was the moment where I was like, that's it. This time, a few things did stand out as like comedic beats where I was like, that's really good. And I think one was the Jericho bit where I was just like, that's so bizarre and random. And I just love the way that Bob just walks in and is just immediately like, listen up.
Yeah, I mean that's like, yeah, it's like smile, like I don't know, I guess I kind of smirked a little bit. I mean, I'm not like a comedic genius, so I can appreciate like a lot of people will find that stuff really funny, but I don't know why.
Yeah,
maybe I was just having a bad day. Like I don't
on the first watch I didn't either though. Like that's the thing, is like the first watch I don't remember that being funny. And then it was just on this watch that I was like, oh, that is actually quite good. And I think that I don't know what it is, but like why it stood out more. It's just on this second watch, I seem to just find it so much more, like so much funnier. And I don't know if it's like as I said, going into it, I kind of knew what it was. And there were
did you watch it? Did you watch it with someone, or did you watch it on your
own? Both times I've seen it on my own.
Okay.
And yeah, the first time I just remember thinking, oh, it's good and it's nice to see everybody back and like see your kind of favorite characters out again.
And the nostalgia is heavy, isn't it? That's the thing. Like the nostalgia in it is like, it's great seeing, like you said, with the chasing Amy thing, which is one of the bits that I would say was a standout bit for me as well. But you know, seeing all these guys, I mean, probably one of the only bits it didn't make me laugh, but I enjoyed was we touched on the last in depth of our Zack and Miri Make Porno with Justin Long's lawyer character.
So good. Yeah,
like his mannerisms and his you know his voice, and you know when he skips from one table to the other table, I was like, you know, I actually thought when I saw that, I thought, okay, this is going to be, I know it's a reboot, but it's probably going to be a bit different. But it didn't feel really that different. Just kind of felt like they, you know, I don't know. It's kind of like we said about what I've always said about Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. They literally just did the same thing. And I know that's the point. I'm not an idiot. Like I know it's a reboot, but I don't think they did enough to make me feel like, I don't know, it's like a new experience.
Mhm.
Just, you know,
Yeah,
like they mention Star Wars, don't they? They mention Star Wars and they mention The Force Awakens and stuff, but there's still there's a lot different in there still. I know it's this almost very similar concept. It is very similar to the concept, but it's still, there's enough going on that it feels different. You're watching something new, whereas this was just like, okay, they're in a van again, and it's like, instead of the clits, it's you know, it's these 4 teenage girls, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe
it just, as I said, like for me, it was the same. Where the first watch just didn't get me, and the second it did. Like even the opening, I remember when I watched the opening, I was like, yeah, it's fine. But the opening this time around, for some reason, I found it really good. Like just the whole setup of it, and Dave Dastmalchian's acting. Like when he's like, they've got no dick, and he's just like screaming.
Just tucked between his legs.
Yeah, like something about
it's just
that.
He's just a white man.
Yeah, like that really got me. And I was like, that is a really good opening. But the first time I watched it, I don't remember.
I'm smiling now, but
yeah,
it's because you're laughing. It's because you're laughing at it, like
contagious. But yeah, like
contagious.
That got me, and I don't remember laughing at it the first time. Like when I started it for this rewatch, I was just like, yeah, I think I know what I'm kind of gonna talk about and what I'm gonna say and stuff. And then I just found myself watching it. I was like, this is great. This is funny. This is awesome. And there are really subtle things as well, like Adam Brody's cameo, where he just randomly pops up as like the merchant guy at a Hot Topic. And it's
Your mum and dad died recently.
Like, yeah, when he did that, it's like, where's this come from? Like, I don't remember this, but that was great. Like, it's such a bizarre bit of dialogue, but that really made me laugh. And he delivered that really well as well. I think like that is one of the things that's really impressive about Reboot, is that all the cameos do deliver really good like performances. Like
I think they'll probably just enjoy it. I think we said that with Strike Back as well. Like they just seem like they're having a good time. Like they're having a really good time. Like it's just like Chris Hemsworth. I mean, I'm sure he barely saw anyone other than maybe a couple like Kevin Smith and stuff in that green screen. But his bit was I actually think his bit in the credits was funnier than the bit in the film.
Yeah.
Although I guess the credits are part of the film, aren't they? They're just like not squashed them in, but it's the cameos they did seem to like enjoy it, like Matt Damon and stuff. You know, being his Loki born again thing,
which is great. So some like of those that is a clever piece of writing as well. Like when I saw that the second time, I was like, oh, you have thought about that. But like there is logic to it, even if it's not.
It's out of place. Did I miss did I miss the setup to why Matt Damon's character came back? Like
no, it's because he like bridges the gap between when they are in the car, I think it is, and then they arrive at a movies. And it's like
the destiny.
They're like, it's a long journey, and then it cuts to him, and I think he tells the short story of what happened to Loki, and then at the end of it, I think he says, and James,
he's like, he's doing a voiceover almost.
Yeah. But that is a good piece of dialogue, like the way that he writes it. It's clever how he kind of tied that in.
I just think the cameos in Strike Back were stronger though as well. Like, the Goodwill Hunting thing, and I don't know, like Jason Biggs and James Van Der Beek, their stuff was better in Strike Back. I know it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be interesting for someone to see both of them, I don't know, back to back that hadn't seen either of them, and just think, is it like I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just expecting more. I keep saying but I think it's just because I'm a bit disappointed in it, I guess.
Yeah.
I know that the one thing that I really hate in comedies, because it happens way too much and it's so silly, is that, when they stare at the camera, like they're like pandering to the audience, like, oh, who would pay to see like a Kevin Smith film, blah blah blah. That's shit, mate.
So that's referencing Strike Back, right? It's Strike Back. It's the same, but with Affleck, where he's like saying something, and then they all turn and look. So I got that they were kind of like referencing that, because it is essentially the same moment.
It's like we said, he's doing stuff on the computer and everything, aren't they?
So I sort of got what they were kind of going for with like a lot of the beats are the same. and it's just sort of changed around a little bit. But yeah, the second watch for me, I found it funnier. So I'd be curious if your second watch is funnier, like whether you.
I will watch it. I will watch it again. Like I would. I mean, I think I know a few of my friends that haven't seen it before. So I actually don't know if my oldest brother, who watches so many films, has even seen it. I don't ever remember him telling me about it. So it's not that he phones me after watching every film and tells me about them. But I will definitely watch it again. I'll probably have to have a little bit of a break from Kevin Smith films though for a few months after we get through Clerks 3.
Yeah.
So interestingly though, it didn't do that well. They did it. I know they went on a road tour with it and everything like that, but it didn't.
I think
sort
of. I think that was the selling point of it though. From memory, the way, because it was with an indie or like a studio, because all the others were like bigger studios, and I think Saban Films, whatever they are.
Saban Films. Yeah,
I think they're quite small. And I think a lot of the revenue for the film was pulled in through the tour. I think they're like roadshow tour. So
I read it earlier today that they did. What was it? James Silent Bob Reboot. It's the first movie to have per screen averages of $60,000 4 different times in its domestic run.
Yeah, and I think that's where they did it. Is like it's a clever way to actually do a film, to sort of take it on the road, and like, you know, obviously Kevin Smith does stand up and stuff, so it sort of makes sense that you can tie the two. It wouldn't work for every film, obviously, but I think for his kind of films, it just makes sense that you can kind of tour it around, because he did it for Clerks.
He did it for Clerks 3. Yeah, he did. Yeah. So he did it because it was budgeted for 10 million and it did 4.7 million at the box office. So I mean, again, I don't imagine that they, it's not like Flash level where they probably spend like 100 million on promoting it and then they've like lost.
I'd be curious to know if that box office includes the roadshow.
Yeah, I wonder as well. I don't know.
Or whether it's something separate.
So interestingly, with this one, then it didn't do as well at the box office as Strike Back did, but I suspect, obviously, like we said, it's a different distributor. Also, a lot is different in the world now. Actually, I didn't know if this came out. Did this come out just before COVID? I don't. Not that would make a difference, but I wonder if it affected its run in any way.
But I think it was. I think
it
came out
2019, was it?
Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah. So it was before COVID.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have made any difference really.
Yeah, but I do think the way that he did it with the roadshow and stuff probably changed the box office, because if you knew Kevin Smith was coming to Stavanger, say, and it was like you can watch Reboot with Kevin Smith, you just buy a ticket to that rather than sit in the cinema, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if those places he's playing it in are like 2,000-3,000 seats a night, then that's a lot of people who would go and see the film just went to see it with him instead. So I wonder if
did he do his road shows? Was he not at a cinema with them? Was it not?
No, it was like, I think it was in a theater. It was like he would, from what I recall anyway, I mean, some of them might have been cinemas, but I think it was like a stand-up theater where he would essentially take the film, they'd play the film in front of the audience, and then he'd get up and talk about it or do some kind of show for like an hour, whatever. And so it was like a proper tour. So I don't think it was just at cinemas. I think it was all around.
That as well. So the numbers are deceiving.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing. So I reckon it was quite profitable if a lot of those were selling out. But I just don't know if box office metrics, how they track it.
No. Well, let's just pretend that he made 5.3 million off his road shows.
Yeah.
So he went just on budget, which makes me happy for him. So
yeah.
So what do you think about obviously we talked a little bit about cameos and stuff like that, but casting his daughter Harley Quinn Smith, she was good, wasn't she? I know she's been in a few other things, but it's she fitted in pretty nicely into the whole Jay and Silent Bob dynamic, I thought. I like the fact that she had her own Silent Bob as well. That was
that was cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
Is that what the kids call it? Yeah, neat, sure.
Yeah, I think she does a really good job as well of like sort of emulating Jay.
Yeah.
Like her delivery of like just the word fucking and fuck is very like Jay. You can kind of tell the two of them have been around each other a lot. But yeah, I think she's great. I really like her. And the second watch as well, I was also like, yeah, she's got some good kind of comedic bits.
It's funny that she's obviously, I know this is the irony of the whole thing, but she is playing the daughter of Jay.
Yeah.
When in reality, she's Silent Bob's daughter. But
yeah,
she really, the more you watch it, she kind of like, yeah, she could be Jay's daughter.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's with her mannerisms, like you said, the way she does things in her voice and everything, and even just the way she looks, like it was odd. But that is the little girl is his daughter, isn't it? Jay's daughter in real life.
Yeah, the one
Ben Affleck's daughter. Yeah, Amy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but yeah, I think she was really good. I really like the scene as well where she just pulls out like the switchblade thing when she threatens them.
Yeah,
I thought that was really good. And also the last scene I think is really touching as well, where it's just the two of them like outside the store. And
yes, that's yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I kind of like I kind of wish there was more of that. So
yeah,
really stupid.
It is a really nice moment, and I think as well, like Kevin Smith's performance there is really good as well. Like when he does the heart on the phone, and he sort of puts his hand to his chest and stuff, and you kind of feel like, especially after the heart attack and stuff, like this film was very cathartic for him. Like there's a lot of, it's just getting all my friends back together and just having, like doing the thing that he loves, like just making a film.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's I think he's that's what it is, isn't it? It's like when you want to build it as like the MCU thing, like it's like this is his multiverse thing, and everyone's come back together for it. Which what we saying about Justin Long's character, like almost making him canon and things. Like it did feel like one big party, like with all of his friends and stuff, and celebrating him a bit as well. So I can see it on that side of things as well, why it's enjoyable, why people should just relax and enjoy it and everything, because obviously he must be thinking his life is short, so to get his daughter in there as well and get Jason's daughter in there and like a bunch of other cameos. I did just read actually that Ben Affleck wasn't originally going to be in it, and then it was only when Ben Affleck spoke about it in an interview that Kevin Smith got in touch, which is really fucking weird. Because
it's because they just didn't speak for a while, from what I understand. Like they just didn't for some reason have contact with each other. I don't know whether it was just life got in the way or whatever. And then I think he was out promoting, it might have been like Triple Frontier or something, that thing that he did for Netflix. Which has like every other major action star in it. And I think somebody asked him on that and said, "Oh, you know, Kevin Smith's filming Reboot. Are you going to be in it?" And he was like, "No." He was like, "If he calls, I'll be in it." Which makes that chasing Amy scene even more impressive because the writing on that is so good. And it must have been written on not on the fly, but like pretty quickly to just write it and have Ben Affleck turn up on set a few days later and kind of go for it.
This is quite a big scene as well, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just there's quite a lot of weight to it. It's not like a really quick camera, like we said with like Adam Brody and stuff like that. It's like it's like this because they rewrote the final part, right? Stanley passing away.
Yeah.
So again, he's got a massive part because it kind of is what puts Jay like in the driving seat to be like, actually, we came here to do this, but fuck it, we're going to go and do this instead. So yeah, it's a pretty big chunk of it. It's weird that they didn't talk either much because obviously Ben Affleck's Batman, and you think that's where those two are like going to be like, you know, hugging it all day, every day. Like, oh my god, you're Batman, buddy, well done. It's like, yeah, like I'll bring you to set and all that shit. Like, I don't know, just feels weird. You'd ask me, you know, there would only be like 2 or 3 people that I think would be shoo-ins for this. And obviously, Jason Lee, Ben Affleck, and like the Clerks duo. Yeah, they're the 4 people I think no matter what they're going to be in it. Like, so
I don't think Randall's in this, as well. Is he?
No, he's not. No, I didn't see him either. I think he nearly didn't come back for Clerks 3, did he? He wasn't keen on it.
Yeah, I think he's the only regular who isn't. But yeah, Rosario Dawson's appearance is great.
She's in it. Yeah. So that's good as well. It's a good appearance. And Shannon Elizabeth as well. Like she's not in. She doesn't do loads these days. Does she? And Val Kilmer as well.
Yeah,
it was. Awesome. I didn't expect he was going to be. He was going to be Blunt Man. Like I didn't.
Melissa Benoist's. Jay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I tell you what, that fucking tapping on the phone that Kevin Smith does. I know it's like for comedic value, and I know, but it's just so many times it happened. So I think it is just. I mean, I'm not even old. I'm in my 30s, but Jesus, I think it's just there's a bit of it's just like, would I have laughed at that when I was sort of 18, 19 watching this? And I probably would have, to be honest, but don't know. Just I mean, I was surprised to see Chris Jericho as a cameo. I know we've already talked about him, but again, I didn't have a clue he was in it.
I think they're quite good friends.
Okay.
From what I understand, again, but yeah, like his appearance is just bizarre and funny and random, and yeah, there's a lot of that as well. There is a lot of like Fred Armisen as the like Uber driver.
Yeah,
which is such a bizarre cameo. But his whole storyline is so bizarre. Like how he just turns up on top of the van. Like where the fuck's he come from? Like what's he doing?
Yeah, like essentially, like who is the what role does he play? He's the paedophile.
Yeah, I can't remember the actor. I didn't.
But who? I don't even know what he's from. Like I can't even see it on the credit list. Like who it is. But I don't know. It seemed like because I don't know. It felt like there were a lot. I expected kind of Will Ferrell to be in it as well somewhere. Like because he had such a big role in everything. But I know they can't get everyone in it. But just good amount of cameos. I don't know. I expected a bit more laughs.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
From the whole thing.
Yeah, as I said, the second one for me is the one where I was like, I don't remember laughing at the KKK scene, but then I did laugh at it this time, and like the opening as well. I just remember laughing at that. I've also written on my notes, and I can't think of what this is in relation to, but I wrote the out of order thing is great, and I can't think of what that's in reference to.
Out of order thing.
Out of order. Somebody out there, a listener, will go like, "I know exactly what you mean, and it's great." And
is it the bathroom scene with Kevin Smith and was the toilet say out of order on it or something? When he goes and has sex
with his wife.
With his wife, yeah.
Yeah, that is a good scene. But yeah, I don't think it is. I don't know what the out of order thing is. Oh no, I know what it is. It's in the courtroom, and it's right at the end of their sentencing.
Oh yeah, when he says,
it's like, "You're out of order," and he just like,
God's out of order.
Yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, and Joe Manganiello just randomly appearing as well.
Yeah, he's there as well, isn't he? As the the bailiff.
Yeah, I love his like little laugh when he like reads the name of the place as well.
Yeah, when it's called, was it called Cock?
Like Cocksmokers or something.
Cocksmoker, yeah. And then and the judge laughs as well. So Craig, what's his name? Craig Robinson. Yeah. God, he's great in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So good.
He's just good. It is an interesting film. I think the first watch, as you say, I think I walked away and was like, and it was interesting because I think I was the other way. Like, obviously, we'll get to Clerks 3, but I watched Reboot and was like, yeah. And then I saw Clerks 3 and loved Clerks 3. Whereas this time around, it's like I've enjoyed Reboot more than I did the first time. And I haven't watched Clerks 3 yet. So we'll see. Maybe I'll flip-flop on that. Hopefully not, because I do.
I'm 100% going to rewatch Clerks 3 again before we record my next step, because I really did not enjoy Clerks 3 that much. But I wonder if it's I don't know. It could be anything. Like it could be that I just when I watched it, I was on my own, and I just maybe it was like late. I can't even remember what when I saw it, but what I was doing. But definitely for me, when I watch a film, it's circumstantial. It's how I'm feeling. Like I've been to the cinema to see and I'm a big fan of Marvel films, and if I've not been like, I don't know, if I'm not like in the right frame of mind for it, I could be like, that was all right. But then I can see it again months later and be like, like Wakanda Forever is a very good example of that. I didn't really enjoy it that much when I saw it at the cinema, but when I watched it a second time, I enjoyed it a lot more. And I was away. I went to the Thought Bubble Festival, so I was very, very tired. B, I normally watch it with a bunch of people as well. So it was it's circumstantial.
Does that mean that if you watch Craven with a bunch of people, you're going to love it?
No, Nick.
Oh.
No, that's not how it works. What bit in there made you think I was going to like Craven? No, I'm not. Fuck me. Just let's not go down that road again. I know we're not going to talk about Secret Invasion, but I really want to talk about Secret Invasion, so we'll have to talk about it on our next episode. Because I am getting pissed off of how many people are annoyed about Secret Invasion, even though it's not even warranted. It's so stupid. So I know I was annoyed about Flash, but that's different because I'm right and everyone else is wrong. So
nice.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, anything else you want to add about Jay and Silent Bob Reboot?
I don't think so. Other than just like the long list of cameos, which are just really impressive. I'm trying to think if there's anybody I've left out that I thought was amazing. Robert Kirkman in the credits.
Yeah, awesome. He gets his nipples twisted. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I really liked that.
Deserved.
Yeah, thought that was funny. But yeah, otherwise, all of it sort of relies. Actually, as we have spoken about it, like Chasing Amy scene is the thing that I walked away the first time where I was like, that is amazing. And it works so well. The second time watching it, I walked away still thinking that scene is amazing, but also then thinking the final scene is really good. Like, I was really blown away by that. By just like how much it got me, just the two of them sort of sitting there or standing there against the wall and sort of talking about it and stuff. Those two scenes, I was like, oh, there is a lot of emotional weight in this film as well as like silly humor. And that surprised me this time around. But the Chasing,
I think for Jay and Silent Bob, for those two characters and like all the films they've done and stuff, I mean, it definitely, I know you can never say never because Reboot was never really planned either, but unless they do more rats and stuff like that, like it kind of felt like they're never going to do like their own film again, right? Like
yeah. It feels like
done. So whatever they do, it's almost like Kevin Smith saying like this will probably never happen again. And obviously because he had his heart attack and stuff like that, it's like I think he wanted to give them like a proper their own film one more time as well. So which is probably why he went around touring, because it's like a passion project.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe even more than Clerks 3. I don't know if
yeah.
I don't know. I felt like this is something that he, with all of his mates and stuff like that around.
Mm-hmm.
Including Ben Affleck. I have to believe they're still good friends.
I think they are now. I think this was their like rekindling. I think
rekindling.
They became closer again. But yeah, I just think that seems great. Does that change as well? Because I know Chasing Amy's on this watch when we watched it, we're both like, it's really heavy. Does knowing how it all ends up for you make it slightly lighter?
Yeah, I think so. I think I did feel that as well. Like, that there's a kind of a happy ending in there. So not so much with Banksy, I guess.
Banky's probably the only one that doesn't.
Banky,
I don't think, because I think Banky they pick up in Strike Back, don't they? Because he's on set, but he's just not in this at all. And I don't think he's been in anything since Strike Back.
No.
So that's probably the only kind of loose thread between the two of them. But the storyline between him and Joey Lawrence's character,
because he said he's living his dream, didn't he? He's finally got like he's doing his podcast and he's got his daughter and their friends and he still wanted to be friends with her and she's happy. So I think that's a nice. That does make it feel lighter. I mean, I don't think it'll feel lighter. I mean, maybe if I watched it again now, I'd be like, hey, there's a happy ending at the end of all this. But man, that was really fucking depressing when I watched it again before we did the podcast. So it just looks depressing as well. Like there's no light in that film. Like, it's all just dim. But
again, I think that's the interesting thing about View Askew, especially doing our like in-depth watching this all back, is that like it is such a mix of like stories and emotion and stuff, and everything sort of does. While there are like connective threads of how things look, you can also then just put something like Chasing Amy in the middle of like Mallrats and Dogma and tell a really intense story, but it's still within the confines of like the silliness of Jay and Silent Bob. And I think that's the interesting thing about this in depth is that it's sort of like Kevin Smith can kind of give you those moments without you necessarily knowing you're going to get them. And I think that's what I liked about Clerks 3, is that, again, we'll talk about it in depth, but what he did with Clerks 3, I was like, I wouldn't have thought. Yeah.
I feel like Clerks 3 is going to be more of an emotional watch probably now when I watch it again, I guess, I think. But it is, you're right, throughout these whole films, the thing is, with all the stupidity that goes in there is some fantastic dialogue, even in this reboot. You know, there are some moments where it's like really poignant and really like super well written, which is, it must be quite challenging to write something so fucking stupid in places, but then there'll be some bits that, like, you know, can give you a bit of a sucker punch. So so it's props to Kev for that. I'm sure he wants me to call him Kev, so that's what I'll do.
Nice.
All right. Well,
cool.
I think, unless you've got any more to add.
No, I think that's it. I think I'm good. All
right. So that is our episode on Jay and Silent Bob reboots. Our next in-depth is going to be our final one in the Kevin Smith Askew universe films. So it's going to be Clerks 3, which will be out in a couple of weeks, I believe, wrapping up. And that'll be the last episode of our third season of Consistent OK podcast before some new and exciting ventures await. More information coming soon. But we will have another pop culture episode in between that. I'm sure we're going to talk about Secret Invasion, amongst other goings on in the world. Bear Season 2, I believe, probably would have seen some of.
Yeah, possibly. Also, some more DC casting. Some few other.
Yes, there is some more DC casting. Yeah, so we're going to be a little bit late to that party, but there's some interesting players now being involved. So we'll try and get that out sooner rather than later as well. But this episode is now done. But if you want to hear our old episodes covering multiple topics, you can find us at Consistently Pod on Twitter. For now, our Twitter is slowly fading away. We're also over at Threads, which is new and exciting and a little bit strange. We're there at Consistently Pod as well. Instagram at Consistently Pod, and YouTube. You just search for Consistently OK Podcast. You can find all of our old episodes, our faces. I apologise if you do watch this episode on YouTube because I yawned multiple times. That isn't because I think the subject is boring. It's because I have children and I'm a tired man. And yes, so find us there. Check out our old stuff. Share the love, share our podcast with your friends, with your family, Kevin Smith fans especially. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, cool. Catch you later.
All right. Goodbye, Nick.
Bye.
Bye.